Hello again, I'm Matthew Gore from lightandmatter.org, and like many photographers these days, I've been shooting more video lately. My Sony cameras are pretty good at that, but sometimes it just makes sense to use my phone. Now, I don't know about you, but my handheld phone video is pretty rough. I've thought about getting a gimbal, but for me, the advantage of using my phone is that it's lightweight and handy, and a gimbal would not be either of those things. Or so I thought until I came across the PowerVision S1. The PowerVision S1 claims to be the smallest gimbal on the market for phones, and that seems like it's probably true. It's like a transformer. It folds up into a pretty compact, pocket-sized package, and then unfolds to be a full-sized phone gimbal. The compact size of this thing dramatically increases the likelihood that I'm going to actually carry it around and have it when I need it, and that is half the battle. Knowing is the other half, I've heard. All folded up, it's about 5.5 inches long, 2¼ inches wide, and about 1 inch thick, so it's small enough to slip into your jeans pocket or a purse or any sort of a small pack that you might be carrying. On this edge, we have a USB Type-C port to charge it, along with a power button, a record button, a zoom slider, and a little joystick controller that also has a push button in it. On the front face, we have this PowerVision logo, and if you have a phone that supports wireless charging, you can put your phone up against this logo and use the gimbal as a power bank to charge it, which is another good reason to carry it. And down at the bottom of the S1, we have a few retractable tripod feet that pull out so that you can use this on a tabletop. Okay, so how does this boxy little thing turn into a gimbal? It's basically a 3-step process. You open this door on the back and flip this whole arm up 180 degrees. Then you twist this little joint at the top of the arm 45 degrees until it clicks into place. And finally, you flip the magnetic head up so that you can attach your phone to it. Pretty simple. Speaking of the phone, there are a couple of different types of mounts you can use. First of all, there's this universal mount that clips to the back of your phone. There's nothing complicated about that, but you do have to make sure that the camera icon points towards the camera on your phone. I thought that this clip might accidentally press the buttons on the side of my phone, so I also looked at another option. PowerVision makes dedicated phone cases for the system, so I went ahead and bought the Samsung S20 case. But it didn't actually fit my phone, which is an S20 FE or something, so that's going back to Amazon. But the cases are available for iPhones and a couple of Samsung models. Whichever one you use, attaching the phone to the gimbal is a snap. Literally. Just get the mount close to the magnetic head, and they auto-align and click together. And it's a very solid connection, no risk of your phone accidentally dropping off. And with the phone and the S1 attached together, you simply open the PowerVision app on the phone and power on the S1 by holding down the power button. And as it powers on, the phone will lift and level into a vertical position, and the two devices will be connected with Bluetooth. If you want to use the camera horizontally, just double-click the power button, and it rotates the phone 90 degrees. Now, with the app set to shoot video, all you have to do is press the record button, and you're ready to go. Now for me, the gimbal stabilizer functionality is 95% of the reason that I would use the S1, so let me take a couple of minutes to show you how that works. If you haven't used a gimbal before, here are the basics. All 3 of these motors on the S1 are going to work in conjunction to keep the camera level and pointed in the same direction as you're moving around with it. So if you rotate the handle left or right, the phone stays level. If you tilt it forward or back, the phone stays level in that direction. And if you turn the handle left or right, then the phone still points forward. Of course, you don't always want to just look straight ahead, so there are a few different gimbal modes that give you different degrees of freedom, depending on what you're doing. With lock mode, you have no manual control. The gimbal locks the camera steady in all directions. But in pitch lock mode, you can manually turn it from side to side. Follow mode is the default, and it lets you manually turn the camera left and right and up and down, but smoothly. And in FPV mode, you can even rotate the camera horizontally. Everything just gets smoothed out a little bit. And finally, there's sport mode. In sport mode, the camera remains level horizontally, but otherwise it follows the directions that you move the camera quickly but smoothly, which is helpful if you're tracking a fast-moving subject. Regardless of which mode you use, getting good stable footage takes a little bit of practice, but not really that much, and I've been pretty happy with the early results. So that said, let me show you a couple of examples of what this looks like in real-world use. Here along the waterfront of Lake Washington, I get nice steady footage, and since I'm in follow mode, I can turn corners pretty easily when I need to also. As I walk along the streets of Seattle, even in areas where I have to weave through crowds, the PowerVision S1 does a great job of keeping my phone level and steady. You can pick up my footsteps, definitely, but that's to be expected, and this is strong performance for something so compact. And even over much rougher ground, here I was hiking along a trail on Mount Catherine near Snoqualmie Pass, I got good steady footage. And the same thing was true on this trail near Deception Pass. In addition to just being used as a stabilizer, the PowerVision S1 also has tracking features. You can click the joystick button to turn tracking on and off, to track what's in the center of the frame, or you can click and drag on your phone screen to manually select what you want to track. Tracking works really nicely too, as long as there aren't too many things crossing in front of your subject. The tracking will switch to other people or other objects sometimes. If you want to use the PowerVision S1 to film yourself, either while you're recording or streaming, you can do that too. You can turn the follow function on if you're moving around and it will follow you. And you can also use hand gestures to start and stop recording or tracking. I don't really use that sort of functionality, but it's nice to know that it's there if I need it. It also has an interesting motion time-lapse function, so if you want to use this to set up a time-lapse that pans across the landscape over the course of a sequence, it's pretty easy. For me, the results haven't been very smooth so far, but I'm still experimenting. As I mentioned earlier, you can also use the S1 as a wireless charger for your phone. If you have one of the dedicated PowerVision phone cases, you can just snap your phone right onto the side of this thing, press the power button on the S1, and it'll start charging. There's no dedicated case that fits my phone, unfortunately, and charging doesn't seem to work with the universal phone mount. However, if I just rest my phone on the top of the S1 and press the power button, it does charge that way. That lack of a dedicated magnetic phone case for my phone leads to my only real complaint about the PowerVision S1. The universal clamp mount interferes with me reaching the buttons on the side of my phone, and even if it didn't, I just don't think that I would want to keep it on my phone permanently. So I would need to carry it separately, but it's an awkward shape to stick in my pocket. Ideally, it would snap right onto the folded up gimbal while not in use, but it doesn't. So instead of just having one extra thing to carry around, I have two. And the universal phone mount is magnetic, so it sticks to my car keys and is a general nuisance. So I hope that PowerVision expands the number of phone cases that they make. It would really solve this problem and also help with the wireless charging. The only other thing that I'd like to see improved is the ability to track a subject someplace other than the direct center of the frame. The option to have the subject tracked where it's selected on the screen would be great, or even just one of the rule of third points on the frame. That would make the function much more usable. So with all of that said, would I recommend this thing? Before I answer that, I'll have to admit that this is the only gimbal that I own, and it's the only one that I've used extensively, so I can't tell you how it compares to gimbals from other brands. What I can tell you is that this one works. It takes a little bit of practice, but not much, and it dramatically improves the video quality from my phone. It has the necessary features to be flexible, but it's simple enough to be powerful. The biggest advantage of the PowerVision S1 for me is its size. I don't really mind carrying it with me when I'm out working on different projects or just living my life, and that's something I don't think I'd be able to say for most gimbals. So, it works well, it's not too complicated, and it's a convenient size. If that's what you're looking for, then I would happily recommend the PowerVision S1. And that's it. If you have any questions about this thing still, just let me know in the comment section down below. I will answer as quickly as I can. And of course, if you found this video helpful, give me a like or subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and I'll see you next time.